for Cybersecurity Grandma, or CG for short, right?
That's right. Thank you so much, Jennifer. It's exciting to be here, and I have my cape on and everything today. And I could talk a lot about how I got into this field, but I have spent a lot of years in technology and in cybersecurity. But what motivated me to do this was that I have grandsons who are on the internet all the time, are always playing video games. And as I watched them, I knew from my background that I needed to get the word out about how to be safer online. So I came up with some of these books that cover the topics that we're going to talk about today. So let me just start off with something that's kind of a big topic. And I wanted to know who's heard about the cloud. And of course, we're not talking about clouds in the sky. We're talking about clouds from a technology standpoint. Anybody know anything about the cloud? So while you're putting something in the chat area, I just wanted to let you know that the cloud is really a lot of big computers that are scattered around the world. And it's basically keeping all of the information that you are putting into systems. It's allowing you to share information when you're on your telephone, your smartphone, or your tablet, or your computer, and even video games. You know, when you're sharing your scores with your friends and your video games, all of that information is just being stored in the cloud. And it's a lot of technical stuff behind that. But the bottom line is that we want you to understand that all of the information that you are passing along is kept in the cloud, and you have to be careful about what you put in the cloud in these video games and emails that you're sending, because it just stays around forever in the cloud. Does anybody have anything to say about that before I move on to the next topic?
Yes, some classes say that the cloud saves your information.
Exactly. And that's so important because it saves it literally forever. And so that means it's out there in the cloud, and it could be used for good purposes, or it could be used for bad purposes by hackers. Can somebody just kind of say, what do we mean with this picture that we have here with you sitting at your computer, and then you're sending information to another computer with a question mark? Does anybody have any thoughts about that? Once again, this kind of goes to something that you might have heard about, phishing. And we're not talking once again about phishing with a rod and a reel. We're talking about phishing, Phishing, where there are people, that question mark there are people there who are on the internet who are sending you information to try to get some of your personal data. You never know who's on the other side of that email that you get. And phishing emails can be very dangerous in many ways. One way is that the person can offer you, say that you won a big prize. And if you just click on that email and enter some of your personal information, you'll get the prize. And a lot of times that is just a hoax. Sometimes it might be real, but for the most part, it's a hoax. So you should never, ever click on something and provide your information to someone through an email that you're not really sure who they are. But another thing that's important about phishing is that this concept of ransomware. Everyone knows what a ransom, you have to pay a ransom is. Do we agree on that?
Oh, a couple classes do not know what that means.
So in general, a ransom is something that someone has to pay to a bad actor for something that they have taken from you. So just in general, not even with computers, if someone is kidnapped, for instance, the kidnapper might ask for a ransom or a payment to be paid up before they will let the person be released. So in the computer world, ransomware is similar to that. It's just that it's not necessarily an individual that has been taken. But if you click on one of those bad emails that we were talking about in the phishing attack, some of those emails can contain code that can tie up your computer or lock your computer or not able to get to your information on your smartphone. That's called ransomware, where someone, a hacker out there, has sent an email with some bad malicious code attached to it that's going to not allow you to get to your information on your computer devices. So that's what ransomware is all about. And once again, it goes back to not clicking on information that you're not familiar with and not providing personal information. So the bottom line, someone can actually take control of your computer, your tablet, until you actually pay a ransom. Any thoughts about that?
I wonder if any of our students maybe have heard about this in the news at home. There's lots of companies, they may hear there was a ransomware attack or something has happened. Do any of our students, have they heard about that before?
And that's a good point, Jennifer, that not so many individuals get ransomware attacks. They're mostly geared towards larger companies that have lots of money that can pay the ransom. And if you haven't heard of them or you haven't seen it in the news, that might be a good assignment to just kind of Google to see what companies have had problems with ransomware attacks. Thinking about the cloud and your data and information that's shared everywhere pretty much, we started thinking about what we call IoT devices. And these are things that are smart devices that people might have in their home. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next slide. But one of the big things for me is these self-driving cars. And as a technologist, I am actually not sure that I have good feelings about being in a car that's self-driving. Anybody have any thoughts about that? Or do your parents have a self-driving car? Because they're coming out now and many people have them. You see a lot on TV with advertisements. Do you have positive or negative feelings about self-driving cars? Would you actually ride in one? They're all being maneuvered with computers.
Oh, some students say no, they would not ride in one. Maybe they haven't even seen one before. Oh, some classes are split. They're not sure. Maybe some would not. That's fun. Oh, some students are scared it might crash if there's not a driver. That's a that's an interesting idea. Yeah. Maybe we need to know more about this sort of IoT technology, right?
That's very true because, and I'm bringing this up once again because with the computers pretty much running the operation of the car, it is also storing and gathering information about what the car is doing. So again, all of that information about whether, the car is going too fast or too slow or is making bad maneuvers, all of that information is stored in the cloud again. And I'm not saying that to make anyone afraid because it's a good thing that those types of information pieces are being kept because it can improve the technology. But I also want you to always realize that information is being stored about what you are doing with some of these IoT devices. And let me just talk a little bit more about the smart devices. Maybe you haven't seen the cars that drive themselves, but some people have talking refrigerators in their homes, and some people have security systems. Does anyone have a security system in their home with, automated doorbells and cameras and things like that?
Some say yes. Some
So
say yes, they
those
do have
things,
cameras.
yeah, those things are
Wow.
very, very useful. It makes the IoT devices really make our lives easier.
Oh, many of them have the doorbells with cameras.
Yeah, that's something that's pretty popular. So it's a wonderful thing because it provides safety. But you do know that once again, that data is stored somewhere. The information about when you are home or when you're not home is stored elsewhere. And if a hacker wanted to get that information to rob your house, say, while you were not home, it would be very easy to get that data from the cameras and from the settings that you put into your security systems. And once again, I'm not trying to frighten anyone from using these things because they are very, very useful for the most part, but we just need to be mindful that the information that we are putting in these systems is being captured and can be used for bad things, but for the most part, for good things. The next topic I have is about cyberbullying. So I'm going to stop and let you talk a little bit about this in the chat. Give me some thoughts about cyberbullying. I think most of the schools that I have dealt with are addressing cyberbullying in their schools. They're really, really trying to make sure that students are safe. Maybe somebody can describe cyberbullying and tell us if your school has talked about it. And I really, really like to know what you think about what you can do about this problem. Any thoughts?
Students who have been bullied on online games. Wow. Cyberbullying, some of them say, is when someone on the internet is saying mean things or making threats. Cyberbullying is just bullying someone, but on the internet. TikTok. Some schools have not talked about cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is when you're getting bullied on text or on a phone or on social media. So that one is a little more specific. All right. So we have lots of really great responses of a variety. Some schools have not talked about cyberbullying.
Well, that's interesting because please get in touch with me. I'd be glad to speak to your school or the general audience at your school or the administrators, the teachers, the students. And I also have other speakers who will give you presentations on cyberbullying because that is so important for all schools to understand the issues that can be involved in cyberbullying because it's just about everyone is connected with some type of tablet or cell phone. So we need to make sure that we get the word out. So if you didn't put anything in there about what you think you can do to help this problem, is the thing that I would suggest is that you make sure that you talk to your teachers and administrators about having a presentation about cyberbullying so that the school and everyone involved can understand what the issue is and can work towards solving that problem because it can be a big one.
What else can they do about bullying, I guess?
Well, they can, first of all, not participate in being a bully, a cyberbully. You must be respectful in all of the information that you put in your text, that you put online, into TikTok, and any other tools that you use in the internet environment. You have to be respectful of the things that you would say. The other thing in doing that, you have to remember that you can't erase those things that you put into text and into email. So you have to always keep that in the back of your head that this piece of information can pop up anywhere and it could be taken in the wrong context if you don't word it correctly. The other thing is very important is to make sure that you report cyberbullying. If you are, even if you're not involved in cyberbullying and you know of something that happened, you have to make sure that you report that to the appropriate people at your school. It's not good to just turn the cheek and not say anything about it. Even if you're not a participant, it's very important for you to make sure that you let appropriate people know that this is happening. And be supportive. Be supportive of the person who might be being cyberbullied, and provide them with information on how they can report it. There's a host of tons of information on the internet about how to prevent cyberbullying and what you should do to be able to support folks who are being cyberbullied. So, take that effort to make sure that you do the right thing as far as cyberbullying is concerned. A lot of the stuff we're talking about is that, your information is out there on the internet, and there's a lot of things that we need to know about privacy. What is your personal information that you should never ever give to someone that you didn't that's just soliciting information from you. You never put your name and your address and your social security number and any your date of birth. You should never put that personal information on the internet. So I think many of you know that, but sometimes you do get that email that looks pretty inviting for something that you might be interested in and provide and just make a mistake and give that information out. And I've been in cybersecurity for 100 years, and I do that by mistake sometimes also because the bad actors out there have ways of enticing you into things that you might have been interested in before. You might have Googled before. So at that point, you have to, just kind of take a step back and realize that you did not initiate that interaction with the person. So you should never give out your personal information. So what can you tell your parents about being safe online and not letting hackers get their private information? Any thoughts? Do you feel that your parents are pretty safe about that? Do they ever talk about it? Do they ever feel like they got phished for information that might have been not good for them? Any thoughts?
Making sure that our information is not getting out there. Anybody know? Well, not out there, but out there to people who should not have it.
Because it is out there.
It is already out there. Yep.
I would suggest that you take some of the, hints that we've talked about here home to your parents, letting them know that, all of their information is being accumulated. It usually is for good purposes, but it could happen to be bad actors out there who want your information. You have to keep your information private, that you don't want you don't want to become a victim of identity theft. That's where someone takes on your personality, takes on your information, takes all of your address and social security and date of birth information, open new credit cards and use them in a bad way. So you just need to make sure that you let your parents know that how important it is to keep our data safe, be safe online with our emails and our texts. Those are the best ways of making sure that you keep your information out of the hands of hackers. So what I'm going to do now, in talking all about that, I'm going to try to talk and maneuver at the same time. In discussing all of these things in the cybersecurity world, there are people who are there to protect us. There are people in many, many different types of jobs, and they are responsible for trying to keep our data safe and secure. And because of that, there are lots of different types of careers that are available to you. And I'm going to show you a short video, about 7 minutes, about careers that are available in the cybersecurity world. And we'll come right back. Here we go.
Hello, my friends. Meet Jason. Through this story, we'll learn all about cybersecurity careers. Super Cybersecurity Grandma has taught Jason so much about cybersecurity.
I love to explore the internet. Cybersecurity Grandma has taught me great lessons about phishing, ransomware, cyberbullying, and so many other cyber things. That helped me understand many issues about computers and being safe in a digital world.
Seeing Jason's and the other kids' enthusiasm about cybersecurity, Jason's teacher asked him to ask his grandma to host a cyber career day at school.
Jason, you are learning a lot about cybersecurity from your grandma. I was thinking, maybe your grandma would like to host Cyber Career Day at school, all in celebration of the November National Cybersecurity Career Awareness Week, so that your fellow students can hear about all of the different kinds of jobs in the field.
Wow! I'll ask my grandma about it.
Here's Super Cybersecurity Grandma, also called Super CG.
Hello, Justin. You look excited.
Yes, Grandma! Mrs. Tyson wants me and you to organize a special day to talk about cyber careers at school. Will you be able to do that for me?
Sure, Justin. Let me call some of the parents and ask them to talk about their jobs and the changes they've seen because of cybersecurity.
Welcome to Cyber Career Day at school.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cyber Career Day. The class has shown so much interest in learning about cybersecurity and understanding how it is a part of their parents' traditional jobs. Let's hear from them. Let's welcome Sam's father to tell his story and how cyber is important to him and his company.
Sam's father works in a bank where you check the identification of the people and complete their banking business. Nowadays, people use ATM machines instead of going into the bank. Thus, Sam's father's job has changed from meeting people to going online and ensuring customers' money and personally identifiable information, or PII, are safe. His new job is called Security Analyst. He has to monitor online activities and ensure that everyone's money is safe. Learning about cybersecurity helped him understand and learn how the banks work today and the importance of understanding cybersecurity.
Isaiah's mother is now a digital forensics analyst. Let's hear her story.
We generally see a police officer in a jail or on the streets. Can you imagine that a police officer's job can also change due to cybersecurity? Criminals leave a trail of information on such devices that helps the police officers solve crimes in a brand new way. Digital forensics analysts can find criminals through phone messages, emails, and other online media used by them to do a crime. Why? Because we leave a digital trail wherever we go on all of our devices. She learned about digital forensics by taking courses at community college.
Jennifer's aunt is a software developer. She also works on computers, but not with the hardware that's inside.
Jennifer's aunt's job is very important as she writes computer codes for apps and has to ensure it is very safe and secure to use from the hackers.
Javier's mom is an information security officer and has the highest paying job.
CISOs have people like cybersecurity professionals, like security analysts, secure software developers, and more working for them. To be a CISO, she had to work hard, get a college degree, and get experience working on cybersecurity stuff like networks, programming software, and policies, and network security. If she works for the United States government, she and all of her staff need to have security clearances.
Alice's uncle has a fun job. Let's hear about it.
He plays computer war games, and while he's a penetration tester, he calls himself a gamer. In this game, whoever can protect their information the best is the winner. It's a great computer game type of job that you can get paid for. Wouldn't you like that? But they all had to study computers and networks for a long time in college and training centers to get where they are. They probably started as computer technicians, buying all of the parts needed for a computer, and then had a great time putting them together to make a screaming gaming PC.
Gregory's dad works very closely with computers. He must know a lot about cybersecurity.
Gregory's dad is a real computer geek. He knows a lot about cybersecurity as he works on computers, Wi-Fi, and servers the whole time. They work together as ethical hackers to check if any person can get into systems and steal data before it happens.
Tamika's mother is a news reporter. Let's listen how her job has changed.
She's talking about current events with foreign countries hacking into the election and financial systems in the United States and other cyber-related world events that seem to happen on a daily basis. Tamika's mother had to go back to school and learn about cybersecurity so that she can know what she's talking about when she's reporting. She learned a lot about journalism and also took cybersecurity courses after her graduation. Super CG and the school were happy that the children had so much information on cybersecurity and jobs related to it. The jobs are all high-paying, and there are many openings for them in different companies and in the government. It gave the students some real new career choices to think about for the future.
Those are some of the ideas that we have about different types of careers that come out of all of this use of computers that we're doing. And the point is to also show you that there's some very technical ones, but there's some that don't require you to be very technical, but are very, very much still important to the field. So with that, if you have any questions.
How do hackers learn how to hack?
That's a great question. And one of the careers that we showed was about ethical hacking. Do not want people to hack into systems for bad reasons. So there's a field and a career that's called ethical hacking. And they pretty much learn how to break into computers, just like a non-ethical hacker would do. But they are hired by companies to try to break into the systems within the company so that they can see how vulnerable they are. So it's pretty much the same training that a hacker would do, but in ethical hacking, we are teaching them how to make sure that they are doing it in the best way for these companies.
If they want to learn, they have to learn a lot about computers, right? And build practice in the command line on your computer, which a lot of these kids at this age could maybe even start doing, right?
Right, that's right. And that's a good point. That's more of a technical type of position that you would have to train for.
Well, I've been able to hack a computer in a year, and I don't need that much training. Young kids can learn how to do it. Might need to be a little bit older, though, to install some programs. Another question, is it possible for people to hack into police systems or other security platforms?
A good hacker can hack into many systems. But I think what's happening now is many organizations and even individuals are thinking about better ways to protect their information. So, but the hackers, we try to stay in lockstep with the hackers, but sometimes they're a step ahead of us in how to get into our systems. One of the things I was just listening to, I don't know if people have heard of multi-factor authentication. They call it MFA sometimes. So that's basically, in addition, you've heard a lot about passwords and how to have a strong password. But in addition to a password, we're talking about multi-factor authentication, which is just another way that when you're signing on to a website, you can be assured that it is actually you signing on. So I have multi-factor authentication for most of the websites I go to. When I sign on, they immediately send a text to my smartphone with a code that I have to put in. So that kind of adds a little bit of assurance about that I'm the person who is actually signing in. And that kind of deters a little bit of the hacking activities too. But that's just one other step, but it's a very important step.
How do you know if you've been hacked?
And that's a very good question too, because you may not know. There are hackers hack for different reasons. Most of them are for monetary reasons. Some of them are not so interested in the money as they are as interested in just getting the information or just kind of trolling around in your system to see what's going on. So the ones that are really not out to take anything or to make you pay for anything, they could be in your systems and you not even know it. And many organizations, large organizations, can have had their client information or their customer information stolen, and they may not have known it for a while. So you can not know that you've been hacked.
Have either one of you stopped an actual hacker? No.
No. No, I haven't. like I said, someone may be in my system. I don't have anything important enough people to be looking for, but I might not know it, but I have never had a ransomware attack. And as far as a ransomware, I should add this, is that, to save yourself from having to pay that ransom, make sure that your systems are backed up. If you have backup copies of your information and someone says, well, I'm shutting down your computer and you won't be able to get to your information, if you have backups on a hard drive that you can, a removable hard drive, you have your data. So you won't be as impacted if somebody tries to hold your data as ransom. There are things that you can do to protect yourself from hackers, and you should, the multi-factor authentication, backing up your information, and there are lots of other things.
Well, and not clicking on those bad links, which I have accidentally done. And all you need to do really is, if you restart your computer, that can be a big help. Who do you tell if you've been hacked?
Well, that's another good question. So I've read some stories about, do I call the police if I'm hacked? And I think that that's not the first place that you could go. I think there are, and I don't have it handy, but there are several government organizations, both state and federal, that have information about where you can send your concern or your information about being hacked. So if you want me to get that information, I can. It's not necessarily a crime that your local police officer will deal with. It's much more at the state level and the federal government.
Can hackers hack into lights? Like maybe change the lights in your home or in a school, maybe?
Yes, they can. If your lights are on a smart device of some sort, yes, that your heating system in your house. Some people have the Nest. I think we call it Nest. Those things that connect to your wireless connections in your house are definitely hackable. So anything that you're hooking up to your wireless network, in addition to your wireless network, someone can hack into.
Have you been hacked, Cybersecurity Grandma?
No.
Wow.
Not that I know of. Someone may have hacked into my personal computer, and there's this concept of bots. I won't go into that, but there are ways that, hackers can take control of your computer, use them for different things, and you not know about it. That is a possibility. And I could say that might have happened to me and I don't know it. But once again, I'm doing everything I can that's possible to stay safe and to keep my data and private information protected.
Thank you, everybody. This was a wonderful experience today. I appreciate your time.
Bye. This was cool.
Loyce. Bye, everybody.
Thank you again, Loyce.
Thank you.